Probably either one of us want to admit, George Wallace.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
One of the greatest comedians in the world. He will be at the Cleveland Improv Thanksgiving Day weekend. You never stop working, and you were right all those years ago when you said it would be a crazy world. It is a crazy world, and you have a new movie coming out, The Wash, opening tonight. To your right, Jill Stewart. Jill's an award-winning journalist. She is the political columnist for the New Times, Los Angeles. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Over
you.
here, save your applause to the end, Floyd Brown. Floyd, you must have been with us 20 times by now. One of our most frequent guests, executive director of the Young America's Foundation and caretaker of the Ronald Reagan Ranch. And, of course, Snoop Dogg, not the caretaker of the Ronald Reagan Ranch.
You should come see it sometime.
He has sold over 10 million records, most of which I have in my own collection, and is now an actor. You are fabulous in Training Day, by the way, and you're also in The Wash. He is also my nephew, and he's so crazy. Okay, give a hand to the camera. Okay. So, let me talk for a second about our Attorney General, John Ashcroft. I have criticized him in the past. I've always found him to be scary and creepy. But now that there are people in the world who I want us to scare, I'm kind of glad we have a scary, creepy guy of our own. Right? Like you want, hey, we got a scary, creepy guy. Okay. I just wish he would read his own quote. John Ashcroft on November 8th said, "We cannot," and I assume he means the Justice Department, "we cannot do everything we once did because lives now depend on us doing a few things well." Well, then why, oh why, is he busting people who just want to die? He's going after the medical marijuana clubs. He's going after the assisted suicide law in Oregon. The people of Oregon voted twice to say, hey, if you're dying, if you want to die with dignity, let us do it ourselves. Let a doctor assist. Right. Where does this government in this wartime have the time to go after people like this?
Well, Bill, you remember during his confirmation hearings, which were very controversial, he was asked repeatedly, over and over again, will you enforce the law? Will you enforce the law? All the Attorney General is doing is enforcing the law.
That's not quite right. That's not quite right. No.
These are controlled substances.
But he can choose what to go after. He can push.
Yes.
If he's really into civil rights, he can go after that. He doesn't. He's going after medical marijuana because it bothers him. He's going after the right to die because he thinks it's wrong personally. He doesn't have to enforce every single law.
Right.
He's moving on a political platform here.
Right. I cannot believe I just heard you advocate picking some laws and enforcing those and not enforcing others.
No. That's reality. That's how Washington works.
Fundamental to our form of government is the rule of law. And that means if we have laws, you enforce those laws. If we don't want to have those laws, then talk to Congress, repeal them, and don't have controlled substances.
But don't you think...
you know that won't happen. And I can't believe, you know, there are other laws you probably would stamp your foot up and down and say, those have to be enforced. Those have to be enforced. And, for example, the laws about abortion clinics.
I feel that way on murder and different things, but right now in the United States, we have not yet had the national dialogue on the right to die. We have not worked it out as a nation. We haven't gotten to decide what we think.
Not in Oregon.
Not in Oregon. You should let Oregon. Each state should have the right to make that decision. But listen, I think
wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
Absolutely wrong, George.
Let's say each state should have that decision. I think even if you live in Youngstown, Ohio, you should have the right to die whether you're sick or not. You know what I'm saying? That should be your right.
Then you should tell your congressman.
What are you doing? Are you saying it's a boring town?
Well, you're going to get calls from Youngstown. You're going to get letters from Youngstown.
People live in Youngstown.
Wait a second. You're being disingenuous. You know as well as I do, prosecutorial discretion. People do all the time at every level of law enforcement, from the policeman on the beat. He could bust almost every car that goes by. But who does he pull over?
Snoop.
I'm saying I don't have no problem with nothing he's doing, you know what I'm saying, because he's going to do what he got to do, and we're going to do what we got to do. He can't catch everybody.
Hey. Well, I say, hey, the terminally ill means terminally ill, right? So why postpone the situation? If you want to go now or go later, what difference does it matter? If I want to die, what's wrong with me dying happy?
This isn't even about you dying.
It's about me.
No, it's about somebody else killing you, a doctor. Okay?
Well,
we're taking people at their most vulnerable stage of their life.
Yeah,
when they're
dying.
depressed.
Dying, yeah.
When they're old. When they're infirm.
Yes,
when they're elderly.
when they're dying.
We're shooting them up and killing them at their most vulnerable. And I find that ghoulish.
Well,
it's something the Nazis would have done.
In the first year in Oregon, they had 27 people who opted to die this way in the first year in Oregon's law, year 2000. And there were no problems so far.
They didn't complain either after they died.
What about the medical marijuana, Floyd? What do you think about that? What do you think about medical marijuana?
Actually, you know what? I support medical marijuana use.
Oh, really?
Hey, Snoop.
What's up?
You didn't get with him before the show, did you? I've had this guy on the show a lot. He was never for marijuana.
Hey, I know Dr. Dre. That's a doctor. And hey, that's all.
There you go. Suddenly, now he's for marijuana?
Man.
I smell something.
Well, I think in either way you will have a right to die. It doesn't matter because let's say if you go to the doctor, first of all, if you don't have any insurance, you're gonna die. Doctor walking in your room yanking plugs out of the walls, you know. I see you don't own a piece of the rock. You're gonna die.
But back to my original point. In this wartime atmosphere, okay, where we are, he just said we cannot do everything we once did. Is that not refuting what you're saying, that we can do everything? We cannot do everything we once did. Shouldn't he be trying to stop the people who want to kill themselves by flying into buildings before he worries about...
But do you not want him enforcing the civil rights laws? Do you not want him? I mean, what?
Maybe
who's going to?
Maybe we should change them laws. Them laws are kind of old. You know what I'm saying? It's 2001. It'll be 2002. Some laws need to be fixed for the time and the era. You know what I'm saying? Some of those laws need to be out of here.
And I agree with that completely. Yeah. Congress changes the laws, not Ashcroft.
I'm helping you.
Good looking.
Congress should change those laws, and if we want to change them, you should talk to your congressman. People asked John Ashcroft if he would enforce the law, and that's what he's doing.
I think the thing we're forgetting here, though, is that we're talking about an incredibly difficult personal decision that people are making. It's often private, and we're all kidding ourselves here in this room. Everybody's sitting here if we think that this doesn't happen every single day with cancer patients. If you've been through hospice with anyone who's died, as I have, they hand you a bottle of liquid morphine this big, and they send you home with the family, and the family does or doesn't do whatever it wants to do, and it's all private, and nobody says a thing, and everybody looks the other way. And that's how it's been working in this country. So already the people, the people who are dying are being put under pressure in a private way without the law. If the law were there, I think there'd be some protection for some private decisions that maybe people are offing people because they want their money and that sort of thing.
And speaking of that, you know, somehow John Ashcroft was a big states' rights guy when it came to civil rights, which you mentioned. It was like, you know, if the states want to go back to slavery, that's up to the states. But suddenly when the states, when the people of the states, the people who the politicians, they kiss their ass, you're the wise ones. Somehow when the wise ones vote for medical marijuana or assisted suicide, suddenly they're not so wise. And the feds, the big bad feds who shouldn't do so much, then they have to come in.
Yeah, it's incredibly two-faced of Ashcroft to come in and say he is a big states' rights guy. He wants lots of stuff decided state by state. Civil rights laws, for example, education laws, for example.
Liberal senator after liberal senator that grilled and grilled this poor man about enforcing the law. I mean, I think it is so disingenuous
for
liberals to say he's not enforcing the law.
If he enforcing the law, why so many of my friends and a lot of people around the world are locked up in jail for crimes that they didn't commit? Why don't he enforce the law and go get a lot of the homies that's in jail for crimes that they didn't commit out of jail? We finding that out right now through, you know, certain cases and movies that are put out, you know, that a lot of people didn't do crimes that they're in jail for. That's a great way to enforce the law. Go get people out of jail who didn't do crimes.
That's right, Snoop. He should be heading up, you know, Snoop is onto something here. He should be heading up, Ashcroft should be heading up the new DNA investigations on death row. That's what Ashcroft should be doing.
So Ashcroft should be focused on getting people out of jail rather than putting people in jail.
If anybody who's facing death
you guys are so far out of step with most Americans It's just outrageous because Americans want law enforcement and they want John Ashcroft to keep people behind bars.
I couldn't hear the end of that because most Americans were drowning you out with a boom. But I have to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, since you're here and you guys are here, I wanted to revive a topic I brought up right after the attacks happened. I was trying to say, in some way, how can Americans understand, because people were asking the question, why do they hate us? And I guess the they being whatever young Muslim, mostly men, who were committing these acts or were sympathetic to them. And I said, maybe the way we can understand it is, what goes on in Compton or Cabrini Green? What goes on in some sort of ghetto like that where people have no hope, they live in poverty, they're trying to find a way out, and they want to get one against a man? You think there's an accurate analogy there that we can understand?
I don't.
Not really. No.
Because we don't, from the ghetto, you know, me, myself, being from the ghetto, we don't purposely hurt innocent people.
Never.
You feel what I'm saying? So if it's like it's an isolated situation, if we have a problem with the man, we gonna get the man, not the man and some innocent kids and some people at work that had nothing to do with this. So I feel that that's totally inaccurate.
There's a lot of people who've gotten hit by flying fly-by bullets who have nothing to do.
But not 5,000, 6,000 at a time. Maybe 3, 4, 5, 6.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, but
it's more like the United States in Afghanistan. You know, a little bit of collateral damage here and there. I'm sorry about that villager.
Maybe not at a time, but I remember seeing some guy on the news once, and he was talking about that very thing. A bullet went through a building and killed some baby, and he said, you know what, I shoot the bullets, I can't control where they go.
But you know what, in our ghetto, the poorest person is nothing like the person in Afghanistan. They're not that poor. At least we have some hope to look for. Exactly. And if we do something, let's say we have a problem, we play our music as loud as we want to, and the cops will come, but these cops not going to kill you.
Not usually.
But, oh, come on. You don't think the cops are seen as an occupying army in some places in this country, just the way the Israelis would be seen as an occupying army in Gaza?
No, I totally disagree with you.
Oh, come on.
No,
you told me you had a grudge against the bullets.
I got a grudge against the dirty ones.
Families in poor neighborhoods over the years, and they have a love-hate relationship with the cops. They want the cops in the area. They want to know that they're around.
Bad cops. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
really?
Man, that's real. I mean, you got.
You've mellowed.
No, that's real talk. I mean, I got a chance to get out and experience things and live and to grow older and to get wise. I can't judge everybody by 3 or 4 of them that did me wrong and locked me up for nothing. It's a handful of them out there that really protect and serve, and they deserve to get their props on what they do, and that's why I say we're nothing like that.
Bill, I think there's a real problem with Americans even understanding.
Now, you've been smoking Floyd's dope.
No. I think it's impossible for Americans to understand what it's like in a place like Afghanistan. Because, I mean, it's incredible when you start to look at the way they treat women, the amount of dysfunction they have in their society.
Now?
No, but I mean, no music.
Oh, no, you're talking about the Middle East Siders.
No, I'm talking about Afghanistan.
All right, yes.
But, I mean, Americans always want to impute their values on other countries. I mean, we always see everything from our perspective, and we don't even begin to understand what goes on in the Middle East. We don't even begin to understand.
What about this? I heard that this whole thing was about oil, right? That what's going on right now. Me, I don't know. I'm from the hood. I don't know. I just watch TV. I heard this whole thing is about oil. If the president was really big and smart right now, he said, you know what? We don't have to deal with them on oil no more. Let's find another resource to, you know, create our way of getting at it.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly.
They cut us loose when they tired of us, right? But when they tired of dealing with us, what they do? They cut the county off. They cut welfare off. They cut all that off because they was trying to make a point with the ghetto, with the hood. So make a point with them. Just cut them off completely.
Yeah. Well,
I like that.
that'd be great, except that Unfortunately, we have an administration where a lot of the people there sort of came up through oil. Their campaign was financed through oil.
Really?
Some of them are sitting in oil right now.
They playing ball with the enemy.
No, well,
trying to create I don't understand it.
They're dealing with a Congress, too, that won't let them drill for oil that we know we have in America.
Oil.
We have oil in Alaska. We have oil off the coast of California.
We have only enough oil.
We have a lot of oil.
Prolong the problem a little more.
It's not going to come from that kind of oil, though, from going after California and Alaska. It's going to come from conservation and creating what's called kilowatts, where you literally stop using, and they don't need stop using, guys.
Exactly.
And they don't need to then build another power plant.
Well, you going to tell him to turn off his stereo system?
We're using
how are you
as much power right
that
now.
Uses a lot of
we're
kilowatts.
using as much power in California right now as we did 7 or 8 years ago when we had far less people, because people are cutting back. And if you keep doing that, keep cutting back, there are ways to build your houses differently. We have to rethink all of this, and it's not about drilling for oil.
No. Have either one of you guys considered joining the black Muslims?
Well, I have, because I like the suits they wear. They look really nice, man. They look really nice. I'm going to get me one of those suits, too.
And a bow tie.
And a bow, well, something, yeah.
But what do you think accounts for the popularity among black people to join up with the Muslims? Because
it's not about popularity. That's the religion. That's
religion,
what you believe in. So it shouldn't even
but
be
it's got to be a choice.
No, it is. But it's not about popularity.
Ahmad Rashad wasn't born Ahmad Rashad.
Okay, but that was a decision that he made. You know what I'm saying? To follow his religion belief. You know what I'm saying? That's what he believes
but why?
in.
What is the attraction? What makes somebody go, you know what?
Maybe you should have Minister Farrakhan come on the show and let him holler at you and give you some game. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey. I've invited him on many times.
Well, I'll holler at him for you.
You do it for me. All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Reading about this plane that went down yesterday. I am not so sure. They said today it was a bird.
A bird?
That
got in the engine.
That's nonsense.
Here's the engine fell off?
Both engines. Both engines.
The 12-year-old kid who said...
That's a big bird, man.
Maybe it was Big Bird. Maybe it was Larry Bird. That's it. Larry Bird is really the problem. Now, the 12-year-old kid, I believe him, he's 12. How much could he lie? He said, I saw the plane, it had only one wing. And it was coming toward us, it was on fire. So, my question is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I know you are. You believe this is a bird in the plane?
No, I believe it's another phase of what we seen on the 11th. It's just, they doing it another way without them taking over the plane. They just going to take pieces off of the plane. So then security need to really step up and do a good job. I think they really laid down after it was over with. They need to step it up.
Which brings up a great issue, because they're not checking the people who deal with the food on airplanes, who take the food in. They're not double checking them, and the people who clean the toilets.
Plus all the bags are not being screened.
Somebody could have loosened a bunch of
all the bags are not being screened. It's just it's at random, one bag at a time, and we got to go through every bag. I suppose that's what
you travel more than anyone I've ever known.
I travel more than anybody in the world, and I can take all of these people with me right now anywhere I want to go.
And I've seen him do it.
I said I could, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Now, as a seasoned traveler like you must be pissing in your pants.
Well, in a way I am. I've always thought this. Years ago, I thought, you know, we're here, nobody's checking luggage, nobody's... And then before, 2 months ago, anybody could just walk on the airplane with anything. Now, the problem is these... security kids, you got these kids out there, and I don't, excuse me for using this expression, but if you pay peanuts, you're getting monkeys. Don't. Excuse me what I'm saying. But some of these kids are young. They can't even get a credit card, and they know what a bomb looks like. You've been through the airport before. Some of these kids don't care.
No, why should they care? They don't fly on planes. It's like the kitchen help in a fancy restaurant. They don't care if you choke on the soup.
But that is the major problem with air travel.
I heard today that LAX has a 17-mile perimeter, a fence that's 17 miles around. Who's checking it? Nobody.
So my question is, if it's 2 months after September 11th, and we're in this state with security, why are the people not holding the leadership accountable?
Because they put the National Guard out there as a salve to trick us into believing it's safe.
But some of those guys are just like the high school graduates, too. Let's make that clear.
It's not their job. Why isn't anyone holding accountable our president?
You heard what I said.
What?
The president needs to step up, be a big fish, and cut it out.
This is true.
He's the only one that can.
Well, what should he do?
I don't know. He's the president. You asking me questions like I ain't never been in the White House. They won't even have me in the White House. So that's a question I can't even answer.
I'm gonna step up and defend our president a little bit. I think the president has been doing the best he can, given this is a huge country that he's trying to turn and trying to focus. I mean, they're reorganizing the FBI.
But if he wasn't so beholden to some of these corporate interests, I don't hold it against him what he can't do. But some of this is not because he can't do it; it's because he won't do it.
No, well, we have a very
I have to take a commercial, Floyd. I'm sorry. Floyd, what were you saying?
I was saying that in this system that's made to be decentralized, where things are supposed to move slow, Bush is moving very quickly.
George Wallace, 105, a gem in New York City.